Welcome to Global Innovation. I am your host, Chris Graham. On our show today, we'll travel to San Francisco, California.
So we have studios in 3 locations at the moment, in Espoo, Finland, in Stockholm, Sweden, and in London, UK. 3 of those studios of the 5 are in Espoo in Finland. I think all of these studios have a common language, a common culture, some common processes, and a common management in Espoo, our headquarters. So what really, of those things, that what really pulls all of it together is a common culture that is integrated and is a part of all of our lives. So I think development within the studios is very, empowered. Game teams and the studio leads are empowered to do their work according to the strategy that they've mapped out for their studio, and that goes like above and beyond location per se. It's the same thing for the 3 game studios in our headquarters. They operate largely in the same way. Now, the element of communication is oftentimes the challenge, which, well, you solve by communicating. You solve by real-time chat. You solve that by conference calls. You solve that by travel sometimes. Assets is becoming a little bit almost a non-issue in the age of cloud and digital distribution. So from that point of view, our technology backbone, our server infrastructure, everything is easy to access regardless of where you are in the world. So I think what pulls together all of the different products and games that come out of the different studios is a Rovio game. That's something that we stand behind as a company. So that's what really, on a cultural level, a fundamental, what pulls them together. Naturally, our biggest IP and brand, Angry Birds, is also a thing that 4 of the 5 studios are working with in a capacity or another. The 5th studio, London, which will focus on mobile MMOs, is at least for the time being not creating any Angry Birds. I think as game developers in a space where last year on average there was 700 games coming out on iOS every day, I'd think that we'd be doing ourselves a little bit of a disservice and putting too much of a threshold, of an obstacle in front of ourselves if we'd measure our future by the number of Angry Birds that we can create, right? If we create a great game and a great business around that game, and we feel that this is a game we stand behind and it's going well both from an art and a business point of view, then we're accomplishing our goals. If that game has a new IP, great. If that IP turns into a brand over time, fantastic. But let's not set ourselves that goal to begin with. Let's not close that door. Let's leave that door open. But let's not set out to build the next behemoth in terms of entertainment franchise in an environment that is so competitive in this day and age, and where everybody has to acknowledge and operate under that same premise.
We are TGG, Takara Gaming Group from Hong Kong. We are here at GDC 2017 to demonstrate our latest gaming platform for the casino gaming industry. Casino gaming is a very unique industry that is targeted at like a very unique player group. So the people are looking for different excitement and different kind of entertainments. So we require different analysis, like analytical skills that people, you have to understand like what gender they are and how they play. And it's like how when you can pay the money to them and when you should not pay the money to them and how you pay the money to them. So these are all kind of things that is very unique for casino gaming only. The whole concept of the Takara TGG gaming platform is allowing a lot of data floating into the platforms that let the game developer and also the casino operator to analyze the data. But TGG platforms allow games to interact with each other, and also with the social media functions that our game platform has. So what we are seeing is like beside like the casino membership system, that the casino pretty much like can get in touch with the player inside the casinos. But how about they leave the casinos? Like, so then after they leave the casino, how can they utilize like the TGG technologies that is like in the social media and stay connected with the player? The whole TGG open platform concept is like a marketplace that let the game that is like interact with each other. Like, it's not like a standalone games, but like it's like 100 games or even thousands of games, that how they react, and they can read how people are playing that library of games as well. So it can be able to optimize the outcome and learning the player patterns, and so they can suggest or even pump up the correct combinations that let people would be able to enjoy more, to optimize the fun of casino gaming, right? We haven't seen a lot of innovations in the past 10 years already. So that's why exactly the open platform concept is to have hoping the latest technology in the market right now, like the AR, like the big data, like the AI, would be able to build, like bringing the technologies to the gaming industry.
And what we are doing right now is, given that the casino industry is a highly regulated and a high entry barrier industry, what we are doing right now is lowering that barrier. So introduce that market to all the developers that we have in the country, in the world, and also introduce the world of gaming industry, this particular industry, to everybody in the whole world, all the developers. And also we are allowing more, because we have more developers developing more innovative games, then we are introducing more creative games to the players as well. And also in different spectrum of time, in different areas, so they can play inside, outside the casino, and when they're home or anywhere else. And at the same time, we'll be able to analyze what our customers are playing and how our developers how their games are being responded to. So that's what.
Just like Ernie just said, just one more line to add, is like we have a global distribution network, and also we take care of all the certification, significantly lower the entry barriers for developers and all the ideas that can come into this industry. People can feel free to download our SDK or using our standard API to build games on that, and then they will be able to do a profit sharings, or it really, the income and the revenue generated will really depending on the game performance by itself. So if they make a great games, they make more money.
One product launch, we'll be able to distribute it into multi-platform. Noting that for existing game developers, when they already have games, we can also help them to maximize the profit of their existing library. So not just one political game they need to develop specifically for us. We can actually help them to develop a game, and we can deploy it in different markets, like in online, mobile, and land-based casino. And not just casino itself, but also mobile social play as well. And for existing game library, we can also maximize what they are not utilizing right now.
So tell me about your product.
Yeah, so we're demonstrating the AsikX, which is immersive 3D audio headphones. And we're really working on solving the challenge of immersion for VR, for AR, but also for music and movies on personal listening devices. So it's been a big challenge of how can we create great out-ahead localization and give you that sort of theater level of immersion in headphones and earphones. And one of the big challenges turns out to be the human. So we localize sound based on our head-related transfer function, which is our head, our ears, our individual anatomy. And so what we're actually doing is we have a smart piece of hardware that has sensors in it. And when you put it in, it measures your head, it measures your ear, it calibrates to the geometry of your ear. That all informs the algorithm. And that allows us to create 3D audio where you can hear exactly in the way you would hear normally in real life using your anatomy. And that really unlocks both the sound quality, but the ability to get sounds in front of you, above you, behind you, which have been very challenging for headphones.
So what you're saying, in virtual reality, we are having this experience, so we're turning our head left and right, so the sound will follow?
The sound needs to stay fixed in space to create the illusion. So with our product, we have full head tracking on the headphone, even for non-virtual reality uses. So if you're listening to music, when you turn or you're watching a movie, the sound needs to stay fixed, say, to the screen. And so the head tracking allows that in the same way it does with the visuals for visual VR. Now in the VR use case, we use the head tracker that will already be in your VR system. But it's really important. Let's say you hear a sound over here. When you turn, you better see the image locked in with where you heard the sound. And that's why it's so important for it to be accurate. Really, there's three things we think that are important for VR audio. One is directing the user's attention. Because we've broken the rectangle with VR, we're putting you in the 3D world, but now that you're in there, you can still only see between 5 and 15% of the sphere with your HMD. So helping direct you in that space. Making sure we don't break presence. So if you turn, the sound is where you thought it was going to be, where you heard it. But then finally that sense of immersion and scale. To really feel like you're in a coliseum, it better sound like you're in a coliseum. So that's really what immersive 3D audio can unlock for the VR experience. And we see sort of course, visuals usually tend to lead. I mean, go all the way back to movies and silent pictures, right? And now we're starting to see really a focus on audio and how important that can be to VR and AR.
Yeah, so have the full experience, not just visual, but also...
Absolutely, like engaging all of your senses and making you absolutely believe you're there.
The product is on the market?
It's the AsikX, and you can do pre-orders for it right now, and it'll be available in spring. So it's
And we have two products at uSens. One is hand tracking, and the other one is inside-out positional 6 degrees of freedom hand positional tracking. So the product that we're showing today is hand tracking. And what our goal is to get hands into VR and all the games in VR so that you can leave the controller behind and not having to deal with that when you're on the mobile device. And then you will be able to interact with buttons and items in VR and AR. So the hand tracking is using stereo vision. And when you use stereo vision, you're then able to get a 3D view of the hand. So moving the hand forward or backward, sideways, it will be able to work. So in the future on VR, when you embed our technology, you were able to push a button by pushing it forward like this because you have the 3D view of the hand. When you have hand tracking, you touch in thin air, there is no haptic into it. So haptic is something we're working on. Many other companies are working on haptic, and that's something we see as an extension of this technology. But right now, it works without haptic. Currently, our technology is working on C++, Unity, Java, and Unreal. So we have extensions for our SDK for all of those.
First of all, it's a Census suit you can see on camera. You can track all your body, including your feet, including your legs, arms, and of course a head. So it's a real time. Yeah, and you can use it for motion tracking in games and MMOs and something like that. And also you can record your movements and use it later. The suit is wireless, so you can use it without any cords, and you can move around your room. It's integrated with the Unity and the Unreal Engine, and we'll have Android support soon.
So we're exhibiting at GDC 2017 for the first time in quite a while, and it's because we're unveiling our brand new software platform, Shogun. So Shogun, formerly Project Katana, as we unveiled a bit at SIGGRAPH last year, is a completely rebuilt code for incredibly powerful, professional, high-end motion capture with the accessibility for indie games, students, universities, as well as the largest studios out there. And really the goal of Shogun entirely is to kind of solve the problem of motion capture where it's meant to be a professional tool, but getting to the point where you actually get your data as a long, hard to endure process that we've made as streamlined, simple, and accessible as possible. The goal of Shogun is to get quality real-time, and quality skeletal data by the end of the day that you can deliver to your clients. Normally, motion capture is about processing markers, cleaning up data, all of these things. We've eliminated that so that your real time is as good as your post, and you can save it and deliver it to your clients. Right, so our core technology is passive optical capture, right? We use the cameras up here that are strobing IR light. They bounce off of the reflective passive markers so that you don't have to have expensive technology on your performer. They can feel comfortable rolling around, falling on the floor. They don't get hurt, right? And they definitely don't fall onto a $200 or $300 active sensor and break it. Instead, maybe you replace a $5 marker. But the objective of the markers, it's really a means to an end. The markers go on central joint positions so that we can recognize different parts of the body and utilize that to recreate a skeleton. But the skeleton's really what's key. You want to get human motion, you don't care about markers, right? That's just our methodology to be able to get the skeletal data. And Vicon skeletal data is the most accurate and the most clean in the industry. And now with Shogun, the expectation is that what you see in real time is what you're going to get at the end of the day. One of the key features that you just touched on is that we're now doing live actor setup and calibration. So once the system is running, instead of taking 15 to 20 minutes of doing a range of motion offline and then processing it and labeling all the markers, you can just do that live in real time. Okay, the system's starting, you're ready to shoot, say, okay, let's do a quick range of motion, 2 minutes processed, okay, you're labeled, ready to go. And that's what we're showing here. And then as far as different types of accessibility, you can either save everything to a C3D file, which is an industry standard for motion capture. All right, you can also save it to a custom file that we're going to be using in Shogun. We've got different types of accessibility. You can go straight into Unreal, which is what we're doing right now. We've got direct integration into game engines, Unreal, Unity, you name it. We're going to showcase some stuff directly into Autodesk Stingray later today. We've been backwards compatible with anything that we release for a very long time because we've got a lot of customers out there. Customers in over 70 countries worldwide. We sell over 150 systems just in VMSI, so 300 worldwide every year plus. So absolutely, if you want to utilize Shogun and you have our new camera lines, Vantage and Vero, you're set. But if you have T-Series or Bonita, you can also use them with Shogun. Of course, it's going to be specifically for Vicon for all of the real-time purposes, but because Blade, our previous software, which still is the industry gold standard for post-processing motion capture data, is utilized by people with competitive platforms because it helps them streamline their pipeline and clean up their data. You can also utilize Shogun to clean up motion capture data and use some of the powerful tools in it if you're using a competitive system. But you won't get any of the benefits of the real time, and really you're going to be reliant on whatever marker data comes out of your other system, which isn't as validated. It's supposed to be easy to learn, slightly easy to master, right? Of course, accessibility is absolutely crucial. If somebody's never touched motion capture before, the essence of motion capture is very straightforward. You use the dots and you use the data so that you can reconstruct a skeleton that represents human or animal motion, whatever it might be, subject motion. And we try to make it as easy as possible, so we've got a big giant red easy button to get you started with little tiny red easy buttons underneath there if you really want to get under the hood. So absolutely, accessibility and ease of use is crucial for us.
PowerVR GPU running Unreal Engine with Vicon. So what you see here is a demonstration scene from Unreal. It's being rendered in real time on the PowerVR GPU using Vicon. So we can toggle features such as post-processing on and off to give an idea of the kind of level of performance that we'll be getting in the newer mobile devices coming to market. One of the exciting new technologies we're showing here is a hardware tessellation. So up on the display here we see the lizard. Hardware tessellation allows us to get a great deal more detail than would be possible without. Because it's in hardware, there is no penalties in terms of power, in terms of performance for this feature. This hardware is incorporated into some of the latest devices we see coming to market today. I'll show you the actual device here. This is a phone from MediaTek. So what we have here is the MediaTek X30 device. This is running the demonstration in real time. So this is using a PowerVR Series 7 XT GPU. We can interact with it here and we can see the details there running very, very smoothly, very fast, very fluid from the high performance level that we have here. So this is just a brand new SoC just coming to market now. So the second demonstration with the MediaTek X30 device is VR. So what you see here, as I move it around, this is very, very fast. So there's very, very small motion to photon delay here. And it's fully Daydream compliant. The final demo I'd like to talk about today is our ray tracing technology. PowerVR has ray tracing technology which is incorporated into several of our GPUs from the PowerVR Series 6 XT and other GPUs. What we see here is the Unreal Engine, and the Unreal Engine has been modified by us to incorporate ray tracing features. This means that developers can very easily create the content today which will enable fully ray traced scenes and partially ray traced scenes to be used in future. What we see at the outset here is the raster version. You can notice that it still has things like shadows in there, but there's no proper reflections. As I start the full ray trace scene, what we can now see is the reflections that are coming in, the differences in textures and so on. This technology is rapidly moving, and making sure that developers can create the content is a very important step for us.
Opaque Space is here at GDC to essentially bring Earthlight to show, and what we're doing here is essentially putting people into the shoes of being an astronaut and putting you into the journey of training in the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory and going onto the International Space Station. The way that we initially started collaborating with NASA is actually a really interesting story, right? Because what happened was they ignored our original emails. They did. And what we did was to post the screenshots of Earthlight onto our space on Reddit. And what happened was, overnight, we received maybe 3 or 4 direct messages from different laboratories working at NASA to basically get in touch with us, because the users on Reddit originally mistook some of the screenshots as being photographs from spacecraft. And we explained to them that that was actually a virtual reality game, and the internet kind of just went wild for it. And then started this really great relationship that we've developed with NASA over time, where we've collaborated with them, we've done production visits, site visits, and even things like resource sharing and asset sharing with them. And we hope that in 2017, that will mature into much more of a commercial agreement and a service that, you know, this little Melbourne studio from Australia will be able to work with a space agency and give something back to essentially human spaceflight. So one of the exciting things that we do in our collaboration with NASA for Earthlight, right, and this is something I'm really excited about, is the fact that we've implemented certain parts of essentially usability that the advanced suit team in our communication with them would have liked to have seen in the prototype Z3 suit. Now, for those of you, again, playing at home, the EMU suit is what's currently up in space right now. So astronauts wear the big white EMU suit. The Z1 suit was the prototype that was originally used as a next level concept. The Z2 suit was another prototype that precedes the Z3 suit, which is actually supposed to go to Mars. And that's essentially an exoplanet environment suit. It's rear entry as well. So basically what we've done in Earthlight is to speak to the laboratories that are responsible for creating these suits and ask them, you know, what kind of elements would be useful to an astronaut to have. And we've spoken to people like Tom Marshburn, who's a veteran astronaut, and asked him, you know, what were some of the problems that you encountered in your EMU suit? What were some of the things that you would have liked to have had? Or, you know, maybe prototype elements that you would have liked to see? And augmented reality was a really big thing that kept coming up. And everyone kept talking about how maybe by 2020, the suits would have ability to have augmented reality. So navigation assistance, task tracking, the ability for an astronaut to direct a route. these all allow astronauts to actually focus on much more critical tasks than to do, simple memory retention of component names, module names, and also clarifies a lot of the tasks that are required of them. So Earthlight is a collaboration in the truest sense, in that we're able to give players the ability to partake in prototyping concepts that we've spoken to these teams about and these laboratories about. And what we're hoping to do is to provide the data and feedback back to these laboratories and see essentially what their responses are. So augmented reality, as we found in our demos, helps players and helps first-time users really understand the environment they're navigating and move around to complete tasks and missions on the NBL ISS model we have here.
And we're here with Keyboard Sports, which is our little tribute to the keyboard. We love the keyboard, and we feel like VR and all of these fancy new technologies are slowly killing the keyboard, which is a shame. And we also like every key on the keyboard. So that's what the game is about, using every key on the keyboard. And you play as a young apprentice of Master QWERTY, trying to find your inner key on a quest for T. So this is Keyboard Sports. And you see when I press a button, our little guy here will move to that button. So now we'll enter the Keyboard Sports. Here we go. And it's all very chaotic. So far he's doing a really bad job, it seems. Oh no. Okay. Oh, we go up. Oh no. Okay. Okay, we missed the turn. Uh-oh. Does not look good. Okay. So we failed miserably at this spot. Press any key to continue. Chapter 1, taking control. All right. So here we have Master QWERTY. You hit your head when you failed this spot. It's a waste of time. You're confused now. Come see me when you wake up. Okay. So yeah, this is very chaotic start to the game. But it's so much fun seeing people play the game and not getting it at all, and then slowly sort of learning how to play it.
I'm part of Beautiful Glitch. We are making Monster Prom, which is a local multiplayer dating sim. And we are the core team, you could say we are like 4 people. We have lots of amazing collaborators too, but the main team will be like Elias Pereira as the programmer, Cody O'Brien, which is like the lead writer, and Arthur Tian, which is the artist. And I do, well, lots of other stuff like production, creative direction, game design, whatever is needed to be done. Sorry. We submitted for the Indie Mega booth here our game called Monster Prom. As said, it's a local multiplayer dating sim, and amazing, they accepted us. For us, it has been a breakthrough because we are from Spain, from Barcelona, and to make all the way to the States, like crossing the Atlantic Ocean, is like going to the major leagues. I tell the people, I feel like I'm like sitting at the table of the cool kids, you know, like here at GDC. For us, it's like something you see at internet and just like that. I mean, we are quite far from here, you know, so being here is just, I feel like a 10-year-old in Disneyland. And we are even showcasing, not only attending, it's amazing. There are like, this is a local multiplayer dating sim, so these are like 2 people playing, like you can see, you can show. So there is hot seat, so they pass the gamepad, and you see they are having a good time, it seems. So they're on a Monster High school. Some people say if it's similar to Monster High. Okay, the setup is similar, you could say, but the tone is wildly different. The tone is kind of wild, or tone inspirations will be like Archer, for instance, or Man-Seeking Woman, or Rick and Morty. They can choose whatever they prefer and just have a good time, because the game experience is intended to be like 2, 3, 4 friends playing together, just drinking some beers and having a good time, laughing like here. So that's like what we are aiming for.